Okay, so firstly, apologies, it's a little bit windy, but hopefully you can hear me okay. So interesting subject, adding CCS to a Zoe. So this is a CCS car, obviously. It's got these two additional pins for DC charging, and lots of Zoes don't have that. So can it be added? Right, so needs to be a little bit of an explanation. So Zoe came out in 2013. There was no option for CCS charging. Renault were really hoping that three-phase AC would be kind of the de facto rapid charging standard, and those cars could rapid AC, so they could do three-phase AC charging up to 43 kilowatts. From 2015, there was a second variant of motor produced by Renault, and they charged at 22 kilowatts max, but it was still just like this car over here. It was still just type 2, okay, so no CCS. So this is a Zoe 40, and there was no option on the ZE22 or the ZE40 Zoe for CCS. You couldn't buy it, it wasn't an option. So basically any Zoe up to 2019 could not have CCS fitted from the factory. Okay, so then from 2020, when they facelifted the Zoe with the biggest battery of 52 kilowatt hour, they added the option of CCS. It wasn't standard, so you get ZE50s that don't have it. So some just have the type 2 like the other one, just like that. In fact, they have this cover panel and it's got a couple of crosses on it. Yeah, basically then it can't be opened, and it's because that bit just doesn't exist. It's just a blanking plate and it just has type 2. Okay, so so in terms of adding CCS, so what have Renault actually done to add CCS, and can that be retrofitted? Okay, so I've got a stack here from a Zoe. The motor kind of goes here basically, but this is the rest of the stack, so sort of charger, another sort of motor controller, DC-DC converter, that kind of thing. So we've got our charging socket. So you plug your cable in there, and the AC, because this is non-CCS, the AC goes into this charging filter, and various things happen in here to rectify that, and boost the voltage and stuff like that to produce DC. This connector is where the battery connects to, so that goes down the back of the stack under the car and connects to the front of the battery. So when you charge with AC, you get DC out of here and it goes into the battery. Okay, cool. So but what about when we want to charge? We want to use CCS. Obviously you may or may not know, but CCS is DC charging, so you don't need to do any rectification because you're not taking in AC. The rectification is done by the charger, with a big rapid charger. So you're taking in DC here, and that DC needs to go straight to the battery. Obviously it doesn't need to be rectified from AC into DC. So what we've gained on this ZE50, as well as this AC cable, so as this, see this has just got one orange cable for the AC. So this is the AC part coming from the top half of the type 2 socket, and then we've gained this part, so this has got the DC cables in it. So that goes nearly directly to the battery. It bypasses effectively this link, which kind of goes around a bit, obviously not straight from there to there, but yeah, where you're getting AC in and DC out, with the type 2 you're getting DC in, so you don't want to put it in here, you want to put it straight in the battery. Okay, so this cable, obviously that's the RAC one that's going onto the stack, and our DC one is following round under here and is disappearing over there. Okay, now think about this. The battery has only got one high voltage connector. Okay, so when you start the car, the contactors close, the big relays close, and you get power. So you've got to connect that to somewhere. But if you just put in kind of like a junction, or connect it to the existing high voltage wire, when you start the car, this will be live all the time, which is not going to be ideal, is it? So this has got to be able to be turned on and off, so that when you want a DC charge, use CCS, then this is on, and the rest of the time it's not on. Okay, so we're going to go underneath, and what Renault have basically done is they've added a contactor box. So they've added a junction box to enable CCS charging, and what that has, there's a cable from the battery, which I'll show you, which goes onto the junction box, a short one. And then there's the cable, the sort of normal cable where it takes power out for the motor or air conditioning compressor, all that kind of stuff, and where the AC charging goes in. But there's another connector on that contactor box, and that's where this cable goes to. Okay, so we're going to go underneath. Bear with me. We're going to get under and have a look. Okay, so here's the contactor box. So on a non-CCS Zoe, the cable, that long cable that was coming off our stack there, just goes straight down and it goes straight in there. Okay, and on this CCS Zoe, we've gained this contactor box. Hopefully you can see that all right. Yeah, that seems to be in. So we've got this little link from the battery onto the contactor box, and then we've got these two plugs. So one of these has power all the time that the battery is on, so there's effectively a link kind of straight through from here to here, but the other one is only on when you want to CCS charge. So inside here there's some more contactors, some more big relays, and that's what Renault have added, that CCS contactor box, to enable CCS charging, and obviously the socket not to be live all the time. It's quite a squidge in there. I've been disconnecting, so these have got the plugs pulled off. Obviously this vehicle's all made safe and everything. So yeah, that's what they've added. Now this box needs to be controlled. It needs to be told what to do. So there's comms over here. There's a comms connector, you can just see there. So that when you want to CCS charge, obviously you need to connect that socket on the front to the battery, and so there's comms to do that. Obviously that control has to be programmed, and if we just come in a second, the CCS comms have to be done as well. So I mean, obviously the car can already communicate with a charger because it can communicate with a Type 2 charger, but CCS comms is vastly different from standard Type 2 comms. Standard Type 2 comms is very analog, very basic, you know, it's sort of voltages being pulled down, and a real basic communication. CCS communication, on the other hand, is TCP/IP. If you know much about computers, if you've got an Ethernet cable and you plug it in for your laptop or your desktop or whatever, that is effectively the type of communication that is happening between the car and the charger, the CCS Rapid Charger. So there's a whole load of comms that need to take place that an earlier Zoe would have no idea about, and that's handled by the main ECU, which on the ZE50 is there at the top in the middle. Okay, so right, so let's drop back a step. So to add CCS to your car, you're obviously going to need this socket with its extra cable. You're going to need the contactor box, and then you're going to need that little short wire as well, so that you can physically connect the CCS to the battery. But you've got to do comms as well. So you're going to need that ECU. If you have a ZE50 which doesn't have CCS, these parts will fit, and that ECU will fit, and that can be done. It is missing the wires because the wiring loom doesn't have the wires and the connector to connect to that CCS contactor box, but that can be added, and it has been done. So if you have a ZE50 2020 onwards, the facelifted Zoe, you can add CCS. It's not going to be 100% straightforward, but it can be done. Now, if you have a ZE22 or a ZE40, you obviously need these parts that we've mentioned. The issue is that ECU is not going to work on your car, so it's not possible to make your car do the CCS comms the Renault way. Now there are sort of people who work on custom electric vehicles, DIY electric vehicles, all that kind of thing, and they've worked out how to use certain CCS comms units from certain cars. There's one from BMW which is able to be controlled relatively easily, and that seems to be a favourite. So it is going to be possible to add CCS to an early Zoe, but it's going to be a lot more complicated than it is on a ZE50. Okay, so on a ZE50 it's not exactly going to be a dead straight easy swap, but it's going to be possible, whereas on an earlier Zoe it's going to involve a lot of custom work, CAN programming, that kind of thing, and obviously you, as well as being able to sort of turn on a contactor box and do some comms with a charge point, you also need to tell the car that it's charging. You know, Zoes have battery cooling, they need to be awake and have the DC-DC converter on to keep the 12-volt battery topped up so the car's awake and ECUs are running and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to involve a lot of work. I'm sure it's possible, and there are some clever guys who do some really clever things, custom battery packs and all that kind of stuff, but it's really not going to be simple, and that's obviously on an older vehicle. Yeah, I mean, someone will probably come up with an easier solution, but so far I haven't seen one. But yeah, let me know if you've seen something. But yeah, if you've got a ZE50, it's going to be possible. The other obviously issue you're going to have is that physically this port is bigger, and the hole in the bumper on an earlier Zoe is not as big. Obviously on the later Zoe, even if you don't have CCS, it's still got that. So it's going to be possible. So yeah, there you go. Not exactly a straightforward answer, but I hope that was interesting, and yeah, hope that helps. All right, cool. Cheers.